Yo, what's poppin', Bagel Bros, and welcome back to the Rant Rapids. This one comes from KD Pack, who says, "Rant about your pronouns, Zaddy." Alternatively, rant about the state of Anitube. Is it as dead as they all say? Are the end times upon us? So, I feel like one of those is infinitely more interesting to answer than the other one. Or rather, one that I'm infinitely more prepared to talk about. That is the most sus way I could have put it. Is Anitube dead? The answer is no. Anitube, this stems from a conversation that me and Rufus have had plenty of times. If you don't know, KD Pack, his name is Rufus, also known as the Anime Guru on YouTube. His channel is completely unsearchable because he based it off of the MMA Guru, but just punned it to, say anime. So, yeah, I mean, if you can find the channel, it is good. I do recommend it, and I make all his thumbnails. So, go for it. Watch the fucking videos, look at the fucking thumbnails. They're great. I put a lot of work into them. But we've had this conversation where I've talked to Rufus about moving away from Anitube and how I personally think that sticking with Anitube is a way to kneecap your growth as a channel. I really do think that. And I know, different people on Discord, not naming names, but, they've told me, like, come on, I mean, you can make seasonal videos, look, some of your anime videos got a lot of views, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be seasonal, because, hey, your Call of the Night video got views, and that was, like, a weird documentary thing. Yeah, but as soon as I pivoted away from it and made a video about Nyan Neko Sugar Girls, it's now at 190,000 views. So I feel like the results speak for themselves, even though my most popular video is technically still the Onimai video. At the same time, the Nyan Neko Sugar Girls video is growing faster currently, and it's sustained growth for longer than the Onimai video, and two, that was a flash in the pan. I have not been able to recapture that. See, the issue with Anitube is that, first of all, it's niche, and there are established figures already within the niche who got in while the getting was good. And while the getting is certainly still good, it is far from a dead niche, right? There are new rising stars within the genre all the time. But it's hard to stand out. You need to have, or I guess you don't need to have, right? Because the meta is sort of, you do one of two things. Either you do actually stand out and do something unique, like a Digibro or a Ken Lauderdale, and people like you for this very specific take you have on the medium, where for Digibro, it was her, just super well thought out opinions and just having the best writing out of anyone. For Ken Lauderdale, who I don't even really watch, but I still know of him, who talks primarily about retro anime, specifically obscure retro anime, and that's a very interesting niche to occupy, and I'm kind of jealous of that guy, honestly. I think that is an amazing niche to have. But otherwise, you're mostly stuck talking about seasonal anime. And seasonal anime, talking exclusively about it anyway, is a great way to burn yourself out on anime, at least I feel. Right? Because it's, first of all, seasonal anime is pretty homogenous, and anime in general is kind of homogenous nowadays, but seasonal anime, recent stuff especially, there are stuff that, rises to the top, right? Dan Da Dan this season is amazing. I love it. I absolutely fuck with that show. But for the most part, they're not that good. But even if it is a show you fuck with, it's not necessarily, like, watching it specifically to talk about it in a video, I don't think is necessarily the best way to engage with anime. I think the far better option is to just watch stuff when you want to, right? Watch stuff when you feel up to it. But instead, and you'll notice this with Anitubers, they lock themselves in this cycle where they have to always keep watching anime. They always have to constantly be informed about it. They have to know everything that's going on about anime at any given time, and it burns them out. Giguk fucking hates anime at this point. Like, I know he won't say it. I know he'll say, no, I like anime. I love isekai for some fucking reason. No, he clearly is burnt out on it. Digibro got really burnt out on it. Kept talking about how she wanted her videos to do bigger and better things. She was tired of just saying the opinion that everyone else has, echoing it to them in order to just reassure them of it, and then tried to get experimental, killed her channel, and then got really fucking bored of anime, and is now finally, like, getting back into it. Seems to have rekindled that spark somewhat. But for a long time, it felt like she was just forcing herself to talk about it, and then retired. And as soon as she didn't have to talk about it, she got back into anime. Like, funny how that works, you know? I find that very interesting, at the very least. And that's the other thing, right? Which is that seasonal anime videos are there. I mean, first of all, you can only echo the popular opinion if you're doing that kind of video, because those videos rely on riding the trend. You're riding the trend line into popularity. And so, in order to ride the trend line best, have the opinion that everyone else has. And so, you know, if a show is generally well-liked, which most of them are, even the isekai for some godforsaken reason, you just like everything. If you're someone who has low standards for media and likes everything, you will do well with the seasonal anime grind set. But for someone who is a bit more picky and who doesn't necessarily always want to consume anime specifically, I think it is not for me, right? And the interesting thing is that now that I've been, more away from anime for the past while, only really watching it for podcasts, I have found that urge to watch it again. I do occasionally think like, actually, it would be fun to watch something like, oh god, what fucking show did I almost to get distracted by while making the VTuber video? It was Joshiraku. Because I remembered that the intro to that show is the character one of the characters saying to the camera, you should just read the manga instead, because this show is about girls in a room talking to each other. And I rewatched that scene and then found the urge to keep watching Joshiraku. And I was like, no, I have to fight the urge, right? That's a nice feeling, because for a while it was like, okay, well, let's analyze the season. Let's figure out what would do well in the algorithm. What would benefit me most to talk about? What can I talk about? It's just exhausting. And personally, right, trapping yourself in that niche is inevitably going to hamper your growth, especially if you end up pivoting away from anime entirely. And then, luckily I got out while the getting was good. I didn't have much of a sub base. A third of my subscribers subscribed for non-anime content. Like, that's great. That's a great start to this thing. But, obviously, people trap themselves within it, and then you end up like Digibro, where, her channel is fucking dead, or a Giguk who is just stuck here forever. Yeah, basically, don't get into Anitube, don't get into any niche that's like too niche. Be an Emplemon who can just talk about anything. Or Summoning Salt where, it is super niche, and it is super specific, but you are just telling stories in a documentary, and it's kind of fucking awesome. Yeah, that would be my advice. That's about it. See ya.